This is a very interesting set of facts that we got from Talking Points memo. During the Bush years, from 2000 to 2008, tax cuts for the wealthy, meaning the top 2%, cost the budget approximately $1.3 trillion. Now, by the way, that's a stunning number. You know, Obama wants to do $50 billion more in stimulus spending, and he doesn't like to call it that because the Republicans yell at him. Recovery spending, okay? So some of that goes into transportation, creating jobs, etc. But the Republicans are dead set against, oh, we don't have any money left, $50 billion, are you kidding me? They gave away $1.3 trillion to the richest people in the country, okay? So now they're worried about $50 billion. No. They're not worried about the money. They're worried about who it goes to. As long as it goes to the rich, they're fine. So, but the idea behind the Republican tax cuts for the rich is, don't worry, they spend it here and create jobs. It's not that we want to help the rich. It's just that there are, as they're calling them now, their code word for the rich is job creators. Well, is that how it turned out? Let's look at the numbers. According to the U.S. Census, capital investments in foreign countries from the United States has gone up in that same time period between 2000 and 2008 from 1.3 trillion to 3.2 trillion. You understand what happened? 1.9 trillion went outside the country. Okay, so now 1.3 trillion goes to the rich, 1.9 trillion goes outside the country. Now, I'm not blaming them, okay? I'm a little to the right of Michael Moore, right? I get why they're doing it, and I understand the value of free trade. And a guy says, look, I got a better investment in China, or I got a better investment in Mexico, and I'm going to set up the plant there. Okay, maybe that's a logical business decision, right? And that's what the markets dictate, et cetera. But you can't say, hey, you know what? Giving the tax cuts to the rich works because they create jobs in the U.S. Because they don't. Now, there are a number of, this is just one fact that shows it to you. There are other facts, and we've shown them on the show before. One of the facts is we gave those massive tax cuts, the $1.3 trillion went out the door, and we lost 8 million jobs. We had a massive crash, we lost the 8 million jobs, and they haven't come back. So it's a myth, it's a lie. It's an excuse to give more tax cuts to the rich. And, you know, if they want to make more money from it, God bless them, okay? But the idea that it's going to create jobs for you is a lie meant to deceive you so that you will willingly go along and give them more money. And, you know, some people will say, hey, but Cenk, that's not fair because it's actually their money and it's a matter of how much you tax them. Okay, but we know the economy did really well under Clinton with the higher tax rate, and it's not that much higher. For people making over $200,000, it's 3% higher above $200,000. That's not that much. And what it does is it balances the budget as it did in the Clinton years, and it gives us a stronger, healthier economy. Under Clinton, we created 22 million jobs. But just for that extra 3%, and of course that winds up being a lot of money for the rich. That's an extra 1.3 trillion they got and put in their pocket and invested in China, right? They're willing to sacrifice you and the economy and everything else. So don't believe the hype. It's not about creating jobs for you. Next time you hear that, think about these numbers. All right, now we go to those same Republicans who said, no, $50 billion, we can't do it, okay, just too expensive. And we can't invest it in infrastructure, that would be horrible. Senator Mitch McConnell is a senator from Kentucky, of course. He opposes the funding, even though 1/3 of his state's bridges are structurally deficient or functionally obsolete. There's a chance that 1/3 of those bridges are going to collapse. Now, they're not all going to collapse at the same time, and maybe none of them collapse in the next 2 years, maybe not in the next 5 years. But at some point, as happened in Minnesota a couple of years back, a bridge is going to fall in Kentucky. And you know what they're going to say? No one could have seen it coming. I mean, sometimes stuff happens. As Rick Perry said about the oil spill, you know, sometimes God does mysterious things. Golly gee willikers, who could have known that bridge was going to collapse? How about the people who told you it was going to? That said it's deteriorating and obsolete and is in serious structural damage. How about we take some money and put it towards fixing that bridge? Oh, hell no, hell no. I got to give more money to the rich. 178 dams in Kentucky have been called high hazard dams. You know what that means? That's a dam where failure would, quote, cause a loss of life and significant property damage. You got 178 dams in Kentucky waiting to blow. Not all of them are going to blow, but one or two might, and when they do, they'll say, who could have seen it coming? In Pennsylvania, we got Pat Toomey running for Republican. He's a Republican running for the Senate. He also, of course, opposes the funding. 50% of Pennsylvania's bridges are deficient. Who could have seen it coming? 44% of its roads are in poor condition, and $7 billion in wastewater infrastructure needs to be built. But if the sewage blows up and is all over Pennsylvania, who could have seen it coming? The rich needed an extra 3%. Washington, Republican Senate nominee Dino Rossi opposes the funding, even though 1/3 of his state's roads are in poor condition and 29% of its bridges are deficient or obsolete. I'm done. There's Ohio, there's Florida, there's Colorado, there's Virginia, and I can go on and on and on. Do we need infrastructure spending? Obviously we do. Would it create jobs? Absolutely. Would those jobs then funnel money back into the economy and have a multiplier effect? Absolutely. Republicans blocking it, totally against it. The only thing they're in favor of is tax cuts for the rich.